Scientists find evidence for the biggest earthquake in human history. It was a quake so ruinous that humans fled the area for thousands of years. The earthquake sent waves as high as 66 feet, 5,000 miles across the Pacific Ocean. Archaeologists have found evidence of the largest known earthquake in human history. It was a terrifying magnitude 9.5 earthquake. It caused a 5,000-mile long, that's 8,000 kilometers tsunami. It prompted human populations to abandon nearby coastlines for 1,000 years. This is according to a new study. The earthquake struck about 3,800 years ago, and that's just about the area at the time of Exodus. 3,800 years ago in what is now northern Chile, when a tectonic plate ruptured, lifting the region's coastline. The subsequent tsunami was so powerful it created waves as high as 66 feet, that's 20 meters. It traveled all the way to New Zealand, where it hurled car-sized boulders hundreds of miles inland, the researchers found. That could explain why we have such out-of-the-place boulders of rocks being different sizes of mountains in Greece. It could have been from the Santorini volcanic eruption, 1500 BC. Until now, the largest earthquake ever recorded was the 1960 Valdivia earthquake, which hit southern Chile with a magnitude of 9.4 and 9.6, with 6,000 people being victims to that, sending tsunamis barreling across the Pacific Ocean. The rupture that caused the Valdivia earthquake was enormous. It was extending as far as 500 miles in length, but as scientists detail in research published April 6 in the journal Science Advances, the newly discovered ancient megaquake was even larger, bigger, coming from a rupture roughly 620 miles, 1,000 kilometers long. They said it had been thought that there could not be an event of that size in the north of the country, simply because you could not get a long enough rupture. This is what study co-author James Goff said. He's a geologist at the University of Southampton in England. Like the Valdivia earthquake, the ancient quake of 3,800 years ago was a megathrust earthquake. It's the most powerful type of earthquake in the world. These earthquakes occur when one of the Earth's tectonic plates get forced or subduct underneath another. The two plates eventually get locked into place by friction, but the forces that cause a place to collide continue to build, and eventually so much strain gathers that the point of contact between the plates rips apart, creating a gigantic rupture, releasing energy in the form of devastating seismic waves. And these types of megathrust earthquakes are what geologists are warning about on the west coast of the United States. Now, evidence for the giant quake was found in marine and coastal items such as littoral deposits, boulders, pebbles, and sand native to coastal regions, and also marine rocks, shell, and sea life that the researchers discovered displaced far inland in Chile's Atacama Desert. They said we found evidence of marine sediments and a lot of beasties that would have been living quietly in the sea before being thrown inland. Goff said in the statement, he said, and we found all these very high up and long way inland, so it could not have been a storm that put them there. To get a better sense of what brought these deposits so far from the sea, the researchers used radiocarbon dating. This method involves measuring the quantities of carbon-14, a radioactive carbon isotope found inside a material, to determine its age. As carbon-14 is everywhere on Earth, deposits easily absorb it while they form. The half-life of carbon-14, or the time it takes for half of it to radioactively decay, is 5,730 years, making it ideal for scientists who want to peer back into at least 50,000 years of history by checking how much undecayed carbon-14 a material has. After dating 17 deposits across separate dig sites over 370 miles of Chile's northern coast, the researchers found that the ages of the out-of-place coastal material suggest that it had been washed inland some 3,800 years ago. Now, for further evidence also came in the form of ancient stone structures that the archaeologists excavated. These stone walls, built by humans, were found lying beneath the tsunamis deposits, and some were lying backwards, pointing towards the sea, suggesting they had been toppled by the strong currents of the tsunami's backwash. The local population there were left with nothing, Goff said. Our archaeological work found that a huge social upheaval followed as communities moved inland beyond the reach of tsunamis. It was over 1,000 years before people returned to live at the coast again, which is an amazing length of time given that they relied on the sea for food. So as this is the oldest known discovery in the southern hemisphere of a large earthquake, as we said, it was a megathrust earthquake, and tsunami devastating human lives, the researchers are excited to probe the region further. They think their research could better inform us of the potential dangers of future megathrust earthquakes. While this had a major impact on the people in Chile, the South Pacific Islands were uninhabited when they took a pummeling from the tsunami 3,800 years ago. So after the South Pacific Islands were uninhabited, Goff said, but they are all well populated now, and many are popular tourist destinations. So when such an event occurs next time, the consequences could be catastrophic unless we learn from these findings. And this is published on Live Science by Ben Turner. And let's take a look at the simulation given to us by NASA. New NASA study challenges a conventional theory about how tsunamis form. Usually created by the movement of the seafloor during earthquakes. There comes the wave, as we can see. And repeated waves after that. Using a large wave tank, researchers recreate these earthquakes and found that horizontal seafloor displacement contributes to the formation and power. Previously it was thought that only vertical displacement of seafloor could trigger tsunamis. Better understanding how tsunamis develop can improve future forecasts and potentially save lives, obviously. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.